In today's video, I'll show you how you can use Excalidraw to make a mind map. So let's get started. So here we are in Excalidraw, and from here, what you need to do is that simply navigate here into the tools and just select the shape of whatever it is that you'd want to use in your mind map. Let's say I would want to start with a circle right there. And now in here is that I would now need to go here into the left menu to customize how I would want the circle to look like. For example, I would want it to be in a blue color. And then the background, I would want it to be in red, or I think blue is still fine right there. And then the fill in here, you can choose how you'd want it to be filled. In my case, I just want it to be in a solid color. And then stroke width, you can make it thick. And then we have the stroke style, so we can make it broken lines and whatever. In my case, I don't want it, so I'm just gonna go and stick with this. And then the sloppiness, I'll just go for this one right here. So I would want it to be more sloppy, like it's hand-drawn. And then once you're satisfied with how it looks, you can do the same thing for the other elements, by the way. You can just navigate here in the left menu. Same goes when you go for text. So I'm gonna go click here on text, and then just place the text in here. Let's say that this mind map is for my daily routine. So I'm going to type in daily routine and click here on the select tool. And now select on the text, and we will now be able to customize the size and the positioning of this. And then we can also drag this button for the rotation if you'd want to. So this circle dot or dot button right there, that is where you'd be able to customize your rotation. And now I just want to change the color into black, just like that. And now from here, to create our mind map easily, the power of Excalidraw shines here. So I just need to select your shape, and then now where would you want the next step or the next diagram to appear? For example, I would want to appear here on the right side. So I just need to press on Control plus the right arrow key while selecting the shape. Make sure it's selected. And as you can see, I can now create another circle or another shape right here. I could even go for two if I press the right arrow key again. And if I press the down key, is that it will now be here in the down or in the left or in the upper. So yeah, depending on which direction you have, you can always control it with your Control plus the arrow key. Now, let's say that I would want it to be in the right, and I just want it to be just one. And then I'm going to go click here again, and I would want to connect another one right here. So I would want it in all four directions, just like that. And now from here is that I would want to change the color for each shape. So I'm going to make it red, and this one is green. This one is yellow right there. And then this one is, I'm going to go for transparent with a black, so black and white right there. And then now you can just place your text again. So that you don't have to manually place the text, you can just copy the one that you have just made by selecting the text and then press an Alt key and drag it, and then you'd be able to duplicate it just like so. And as you can see, it's not appearing. Then you just need to right click on that and then send it or bring to front, and then it will be right here. And same goes for the other one right there and the others. And now I'm gonna go and make it just like this. So let's say that I'm gonna go for chores, and this one would be work, and this one would be workout, and this one is my night routine, maybe something like that. So here we have it. So just a simple mind map, and then we can always add more, like specific things like what workout will we do, what work, what chores, or what night routine. So basically we can do the same thing. Click on the shapes again, and then press on the Control button again, and then navigate into the arrow keys. So you can place it just like that in the left, right, top, and in the bottom. You can do that, and as you can see, it messes things up. So yeah, if you want to connect this and that, then you can absolutely do that, but I don't think that you would want that. So I'm just going to go here on the top, for example, and again, I can make it a lot by pressing it repeatedly on the arrow keys, and then I now have 4, and then I can change that again. And now, what if you would want to change the shape? Then you can absolutely do that. For example, I would want to change the shape for this one, and I would want it to be diamond. So I'm going to go and make my diamond right here by clicking here on the diamond tool and then drawing it, and then customize the diamond color or how it would look depending on how you'd want it, and then position it right here once you're satisfied with the size. And then click on the arrow right here that you would want to connect into your shape. So I'm going to move it right there. And then click here, and then click on this circle right here, as you can see right in the arrowhead. So you want to make sure that it is connected here. So you just simply need to select the arrow and then click on this dot and connect it into the shape, and it will now be connected just like that. And same goes for the other shapes. You can also do it the same way if you wanted to change the shape. And now last thing is that you could also put in some diagrams or illustrations that could also be helpful, like for this one, for example. And then you could also add more arrows, by the way. You can drag these arrows right here. So you can drag it just like that. And then you'd now be able to connect this circle or this shape by connecting it right there. Make sure it's connected, and then you could connect it right there if you'd want to. So you can make some custom arrows if you'd want. So that's another tip or another tool that you'd be able to use. And again, you would be able to add more illustrations just like this one. You can click here on Browse Libraries, and then you'd be taken here into Excalidraw libraries where you can get their sketches or illustrations. For example, this one, I'm going to click here on Add to Excalidraw, and it will now be added, and I can use that by just simply dragging it just like that. It's very easy, right? So this would also be helpful in designing your mind map. Next is, once you are now satisfied with everything, then you can just save it by clicking here on the 3 horizontal bars on the top left. And now you will navigate into Save To. And you can now save this to the disk, make it a shareable link, or save it to your Excalidraw workspace. Or you can export it as an image. You can click here on Export Image, and now you can save it as a PNG, SVG, or you can just copy it to clipboard. And then you also have these options in here. And as you can see, this is the only thing that's being exported because it is selected while I went into export. So you want to be mindful of that. So if you'd want to export this as a whole, make sure you're not selecting anything. Go back again, go into export, and as you can see, it will now export everything. And then you now have this option, same thing. And finally is that we have the reset the canvas. So if you want to reset everything, clear everything, this is where you can do it. And as you can see, we now have cleared it. And if you'd want to bring it back, click on the undo button, or you could also go for the redo if you did something to mess things up. So that's it on how you could do this in Excalidraw. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next one.